There's a number stuck in almost every boater's head: 50 feet. That's the line people quote before they'll point the baw at open ocean and just keep going. Past the last marker, past cell service, out where the next land is days away. Here's the thing, it isn't true. There's a trawler under 37 feet, shorter than a lot of the weekend cruisers tied up in your marina right now, that has crossed open Pacific water all the way to Hawaii on its own bottom. No ship's deck under it. No delivery crew flying home afterward. Just a small boat and a whole lot of ocean. And it isn't alone. There's a tiny group of trawlers, all under 42 feet, that have either crossed real ocean or are built honestly enough to do it without turning into a science experiment. So I went looking for the smallest ones that actually hold up. And I threw out almost everything. 5 boats made it. We're counting down to the smallest of them all. And the last one is the kind of boat you stare at and think, there's no way. Then you find out where it's been. There's a catch with that one too. I'll get to it. But before any boat earned a spot, it had to survive one filter. And that filter is where most of the famous names quietly died. Because here's the trap with small ocean boats. Almost every brochure says offshore capable. Almost none of them mean it the way the ocean means it. So the rule was simple, and it was brutal. To make this list, a boat had to do one of two things. Either show a documented ocean crossing you can actually trace, a real passage, a real log, or carry a serious enough package, fuel, structure, redundancy, that crossing wouldn't turn it into a one-off prototype held together by hope. That rule cut some legends. The Kadey-Krogen 39, the Celine 40, the Willard 36, a boat people swear has run California to Hawaii. All respected, all real cruisers with real followings. But the clean, verifiable proof just wasn't there, so they sat this one out. 5 boats made it through. Let's start at the big end and work our way down. Number 5, the Kadey-Krogen 42. It's the largest boat on this list, 42 feet 4 inches. So why is it in a video about the smallest? Because it's the floor. The most conservative, honest answer to the question, how small can you safely go? If you want to take surprises out of the equation, this is where a careful buyer starts. This is an old soul. The design launched back in 1975. Foam core, sandwich hull, heavy hand layup, a long keel, full displacement, a shape that just wants to keep going. The classic setup is a single Ford Lehman, 135 horsepower, and it sips. The kind of boat that'll hold 7 knots while burning under 2 gallons an hour. Editorial sources put its reach somewhere around 3,200 nautical miles. But specs don't cross oceans. Boats do. So here's the proof. A 1988 Krogen 42 named Dauntless crossed the Atlantic, Rhode Island to Ireland, by way of the Azores, in 26 days, and then did it again. 2 Atlantic crossings. Now the honest part. It didn't go as it left the factory. The owner added paravane stabilizers, AIS, a fuel polishing system, real communications beyond a VHF radio, a water maker, and that's the whole lesson of this boat. The Krogen doesn't ask you to be brave, it asks you to be prepared. It's the safest pick here. It's also the longest. From this point on, every boat gets smaller, and the next one might be the most honest small ocean boat anyone's ever built. Number 4. The Diesel Duck 382. First surprise, the name says 38, but this boat actually measures 41 feet. So why isn't it lower on a smallest list? Because of what's packed inside. If I rank these 5 on one question alone, which small boat earns the word blue water the most honestly, this one wouldn't be number 4. It'd be number 1. This boat isn't pretending to be a yacht. It's a little ship. Steel hull, full displacement, 56,000 pounds. And the fuel, listen to this, 1,720 gallons. In a 41-foot boat. That's a published reach of over 5,500 miles at 6 knots, with a reserve still left in the tank. It gets better. There's a sail assist, get home rig, so if the engine ever quits mid-ocean, you're not just drifting and praying. Storm shutters built in from the factory, ports and deadlights to a near naval standard, a watertight door into the engine room. One documented boat, named Jubilee, carried a commercial autopilot, cameras watching the engine room, a water maker, and ground tackle you'd trust in a gale. The catch? Speed. 6.3 knots at cruise. This is a boat measured in patience, not horsepower. Steel means you stay on top of maintenance, and there's a single main engine, a John Deere diesel, which is exactly why that get-home rig matters so much. The proof? Jubilee published a crossing from Maine to Scotland back in 2010. Maine to Scotland, in a boat that calls itself a 38. It's smaller than the Krogen, still over 40 feet though, and the next boat is the one the professionals point to when they want to end the argument. Number 3. The Nordhavn 40. If the others have fans, this one has a reputation. Nordhavn's own words call it the smallest of their fleet of ocean-crossing motor vessels. Not coastal, ocean-crossing, from the company that basically built the category. And then there's the line that ends most debates. The Nordhavn 40 holds a world circumnavigation record for a production powerboat. It went around the planet. It also crossed the Atlantic in Nordhavn's own offshore rally. This isn't a boat that might cross an ocean someday. It's a boat that already has, more than once. 39 feet 9 inches, 50,000 pounds, full displacement, with a wide, sea-kindly hull. Under the floor, a lugger main engine, and here's the part that matters, a small Yanmar wing engine on its own separate shaft. A true second way home if the big one ever stops. 920 gallons of fuel, good for over 2,400 nautical miles, loaded down for an ocean, and more than that when she's traveling light. Now, the honest crack in the armor. Even the benchmark isn't bulletproof. In Nordhavn's own write-up of that rally, on one of these 40s, the inverter shut down, and the boat lost its stabilizers mid-crossing. Out there, redundancy isn't a luxury, it's the entire game. It's the gold standard, but it's still not the smallest. The next two boats are shorter, and the last one barely looks like an ocean boat at all. Number 2. The DeFever 40 Passagemaker. The DeFever and the Nordhavn are almost exactly the same length. 39.8 versus 39.9, an inch apart. Same size, completely different story. This is the underdog. Arthur DeFever's hulls are known above all for one thing: excellent seakeeping. And this little 40-footer has been places that make most boaters go quiet. One DeFever Passagemaker, named Pelagic, is documented running the brutal route down toward Cape Horn, the bottom of the world, some of the hardest water on Earth. Another owner logged 8,000 miles over 500 days aboard one of these. And then there's the number that makes people lean in. In 2026, clean examples are trading somewhere around $70,000 to $100,000. A boat with that kind of offshore pedigree for the price of a nice truck. But this is number 2, not number 1, and I owe you the honest reason. 2 of them, actually. First, its clean transoceanic proof is thinner than the boats above it. Real hard mode history. Yes, but fewer simple, traceable crossing logs. Second, and pay close attention if you ever go shopping for one, the earliest Passagemaker 40s were built with fiberglass over plywood deckhouses, and they earned a rough reputation for it. Later boats went all fiberglass. Same model name, wildly different survey result. And the engine could be a single, around 120 horsepower, or a set of twin Perkins. So the badge alone tells you almost nothing. You're buying the specific boat, not the name on it. That's a lot of caveats for second place. So why isn't it lower? Because the boat at number 1 carries the biggest caveat of all, wrapped around the smallest hull on this list, by a wide margin. Number 1, the great Harbor N37. 36 feet 10 inches. Read that again. It's not even 37 feet long, and it has crossed open Pacific water to Hawaii. Look at the numbers, and they almost don't add up. 36, 10 on deck, but a beam of 50 feet 10 inches, nearly as wide as boats 10 feet longer, and a draft of just 2 feet 10 inches. Shoal enough to slip into water that would ground every other boat in this video. 48,000 pounds of it, twin Yanmar diesels, 5 watertight bulkheads, positive buoyancy, built so that, even flooded, it still wants to float, a solid fiberglass hull, and the interior volume of a boat far bigger than the tape says it has any right to be. This is the one you look at and think, no chance. And then you find out where hull number 3 went. Through the Panama Canal and on across to Hawaii on its own bottom. The smallest twin-engine boat anyone knows of in this entire class to have made that kind of crossing. And here's the catch I promised you all the way back at the start. That crossing happened after they added extra fuel. Standard, the N37 carries about 1,800 nautical miles of range. Plenty for a lot of ocean, not enough for the long Pacific haul. So it didn't beat the ocean by being magic. It did it by being honest about what the trip actually required, and adding the tankage to match. So, is it the smallest ocean-crossing trawler? Yes, with an asterisk. And that asterisk might be the most useful thing in this entire video. Because here's what all 5 of these boats are quietly telling you. That 50-foot rule? It was never real. The ocean has never once asked how long your boat is. It asks something harder. Did you respect what the crossing actually takes? 6 knots instead of 12. Extra fuel instead of a bigger ego. A way to get home if the engine dies. A maintenance habit you don't skip. Every boat on this list said yes, and then it went. Right now, somewhere, a 36-foot boat is sitting on water that has swallowed 60-footers whole. Not because it's bigger, because the person aboard refused to believe they needed permission, or 50 feet, to go. So I'll leave you with the only question that really matters here. Are you team smallest possible? Strip it down, keep it simple, leave now? Or team give me the margin? More boat, more systems, more room for the ocean to be wrong. Tell me down in the comments. I read them. And if a boat under 37 feet crossing the Pacific gets to you the way it gets to me, stick around. There's a whole fleet of these stories. We're just getting started.